Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are starting a new topic, or you can say a new subject. You can see the name Law of Real Estate. So this is very important topic for your exam point of view. This is a 7 marks weightage from this whole subject. So today we are dealing with the first topic, which is land acquisition, under which this act is mentioned. We will see about this act in our further slides. So please pay attention. This is a introductory session for this act. I am not mentioning any section here. We will first see an overview of this act. After this, we will deal section wise. So be with me. This is very important for freshers who are giving the exam for the first time. People often do what people do generally. They read the sections and they do not get any idea about the act as such. So I have designed these lectures so that you can understand it very well. In your practice, you will feel the difference. So first, the name of the act. This is a very lengthy name. So the name of the act is the Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013. So first, these are the topic of discussion. Today we will deal with this topic mainly. So be with me. This is very this is very lengthy. So just hear me patiently. So let's see what the introduction says about the act. First question come in mind, that why do we need this act? Let us first understand. In India, land is not just property. Farmers and rural families, land is the source of income, the source of food, a family asset passed by generations, emotional and social security. There is very much emotion involved with the land in India. So before 2013, land was acquired using the Land Acquisition Act 1894. So remember this year also in exam they can ask about the previous act, or you can say the name of previous act also, which was made during British rule. So that law gave absolute power to government. The landowner had no real choice. So if government wants, they can take your land and you cannot do anything. You can do nothing, literally nothing. So many problems arose. People were forced to give land. Compensation was very low. There was no provision for rehabilitation. People become unemployed after losing land. So these were the challenges. So because of protest, court cases and public pressure, the government realized that development without justice is not sustainable. Therefore, a new law was introduced in 2013. So they introduced this act. So I hope the background of the act is pretty much clear. We do not need in-depth detail about the background as it is out of our scope. So now I want to give you some insight of the name, what the name means. So every word in law makes sense How? Let's see. The full name of the act is the Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013. So 2013, is the year when this act was enforced. So from the name itself, we understand the spirit of law. Right means it is legally enforceable. Here, fair compensation means compensation must reflect real value. So today's market value, I should say. Transparency means the process should be open and clear. And rehabilitation and resettlement means people should not suffer after acquisition. So this act is not only about taking land, but also about protecting people. So now you have to remember this name. I know it is tough for engineers to learn law. So please do remember this name. So what was the objective of this act? I have summarized in 4 different points to make you very familiar with this act. The act has 4 major objectives. The objective 1 talks about fair compensation. Earlier, compensation was decided arbitrarily. Now, the act ensures that compensation is based on market value. So, no arbitrary compensation is allowed. You have to assess the value of land first. Then, a separate provision for extra amount, which is called solatium, is added. Okay, we will deal with solatium later separately. Just remember the name. Rural landowners receive highest compensation. This is a very good point of this act. This ensures that the landowner can rebuild their life after losing land. Okay, this was the first objective. What was the second objective? Second objective was transparency in the process. So what transparency means? You all know. Government cannot secretly acquire land. Okay. Public notices must be issued. People must be informed. Public hearing must be conducted. This reduces corruption and misuse of power. So, with the help of this law, they introduced transparency in the process. What was the third objective? Third objective was rehabilitation. When you will read the full name of the act name itself says a story. So the third objective is rehabilitation, means helping affected people to get employment, restart livelihood, receive financial support. Losing land should not push families into poverty. So these points are self-explanatory. I am not going into depth of these points. So our last objective, I should say, is resettlement. Resettlement means providing housing. Not only housing, the housing should be with basic amenities and social security. The government must ensure a dignified life for displaced families. You cannot leave families on their own. So this was the fourth objective. I hope the objectives of this act is very clear to you. Now we will deal with the applicability of the act. Please keep in mind, this is not a section wise lecture. This is a overview of the act. So I am talking about the outlines. This act applies when land is acquired for. So when this act will apply and on whom this act will apply. So गवर्नमेंट किसके ऊपर ये एक्ट अप्लाई करेगी और कब अप्लाई करेगी, दोनों की बात इस एक्ट में साफ साफ लिखी हुई है. तो व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट पॉइंट, दैट इज गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स. When government need land for government projects, this act applies for roads, for railways, for dams. Provisions may be different for these classes, but this act apply. Another is public infrastructure, public private partnership projects. For example, Habibganj railway station, or private companies, or you can say any company, private company needs land, so this act applies there too. So to whom this applies? This applies rural areas as well as urban areas. One main feature of this act is it protects not only landowners but also people who depend on land for their livelihood. So earlier what was happening, that only landowners gets benefit, but here not only the landowner but the people who was dependent on that land is also entitled to a compensation or a treatment. In our next slide, we will see what is affected family. This is a very important term in this act, I must say. Why this is very important? People generally take a assumption under his head that affected family means any family who gets it. No, this act talks about it. Who is the affected family? Not only the landowner. This is the beauty. So an affected family include person whose land is acquired. This is the landowner. Okay. Another is agricultural labor who was dependent on that land, also be treated as affected family. This is the beauty. Tenants and sharecroppers. Suppose he was living on this land, so my interest will also be included as affected family. Then artisan dependent on land, families losing livelihood due to acquisition. Okay, suppose my livelihood was dependent on the land by some means, so I am also eligible as affected family. This is very important because when that was the point I was discussing. Here I have mentioned that. So this is the meaning of affected family. I hope you will understand it. Another term that I have used, that public purpose. Land can only be acquired only for public purpose, no any other purpose. Public purpose means projects benefiting society at large, defense and national security, roads, railways, airports, housing for poor. This also comes under public purpose. Educational institutes, industrial corridors. These are the main headings. You can relate what public purpose means. At large, we have to see at large. I have to build something which will benefit the public, not a private person. Okay, so the government must justify why land acquisition is necessary. For this, we will see there is a mechanism called social impact assessment, SIA. Oh, that is the point. Social impact assessment, SIA. So what social impact assessment? It is the most powerful safeguard for this act. It is the study conducted before acquisition to assess how many families will be affected, loss of livelihood. We will study these factors first. After the social impact assessment, government will decide whether land acquisition is necessary or not. So these are the points that we have to keep in mind before before uh, doing any study. So how it will impact our local economy, impact on social life. Okay, so I have mentioned here why this SIA important. It is important because it gives a simple answer. Is this land acquisition really necessary? Okay, so this act talks about social impact assessment also. What is the process of SIA? We will see some points about that. We are not going to in depth detail. Okay, so what is the process? Government issues notification first, then an independent agency conducts study. We have discussed what points we have to keep in mind while doing the study. फिर public hearing in affected villages. If any village is being affected, then public hearing will be done. Expert committee evaluate the report. The report will be sent to the expert committee. Government decide whether to proceed, okay, on the basis of this report. Without SIA, land cannot be acquired. There is a provision of special cases where SIA is not applicable. We will see when we will deal with the sections. Consent of landowners. This is important. Okay, there will be a MCQ on this only. So you have to remember this. This act introduced consent, which never existed earlier. So in our old law, there was no provision of consent. This law talks about consent. So how? Let's see. For private projects, 80% consent required of affected families. So you know what is the definition of affected family? So these family will give consent, and 80% consent we need for private projects. For public private projects, 70% consent required. Okay. And for government projects, consent not required. Okay. This means landowners have a voice in decision making. So how the consent part is introduced in the act, you understand now. You have to remember the percentage also. They can ask for private projects according to this act, what is the percentage people we need to go ahead. Okay, we will see some MCQs in further lectures. Okay, now we see one more thing, which is compensation calculation. How we are going to calculate compensation. This is an overview. Do not take it as it is. So I am giving you an idea how compensation is calculated. Step 1, determine market value. So this market value, remember, the valuers are assigned to assess the market value. So our work lies here. Determine market value. Market value is decided by sale leads, circle rates, and consent expected compensation. So we will ask the affected families what compensation they need, because here the provisions say that the affected family may negotiate what compensation they will get, and the highest value is taking. So what we will do, we will try to figure out the market value by looking at sale deeds, by looking at circle rates, by asking people, and the highest value is taken. The act is very clear, and a multiplying factor is there. If you are acquiring a land for any purpose, whether it's private, whether it's PPP, or whether it is government, there is a multiplying factor. For rural land, up to 2 times, for urban land, 1 time. Okay, this we have to remember. This recognize that rural landowners are more vulnerable, okay, because they are less educated compared to urban landowners, I should say. They do not know much about law in the remote areas. So to protect them, there is a double I should say compensation, or I should say multiplying factor for rural land. Then solatium, we were talking about this. So solatium is 100% of compensation. This is added because acquisition is compulsory. Okay, because we are taking land. Okay, so what we are doing, we are giving them 100% compensation. So how we will calculate the compensation? The final compensation is calculated by this simple formula. Compensation is equals to market value that we will assign, that we will assess, I should say, that we will calculate. Then a factor I have discussed here, multiplying factor, step 2, and 100% of solatium. Okay, compensation, this 100% is of compensation. So this is the important formula. Okay, I hope you understand this outline. I am not saying that you understand all the sections of the act, but you have you got an idea about the act outline. Then rehabilitation and resettlement, R&R. What it is? The act makes R&R legally compulsory. That is very important. This is now legally compulsory that you will do rehabilitation and resettlement of affected families. And what affected family will get? Housing or housing allowance. If immediate housing is not there, they will get housing allowance. Job or 5 lakh compensation. Okay, if someone is losing job, then there is a provision of job and a lump sum compensation, I should say, 5 lakh, or whichever the authority thinks is right, he will provide that. Then monthly monthly allowance, then transportation allowance, okay, then resettlement allowance. So these allowance they will get. This ensures lifelong stability, not temporary relief. So this is the rehabilitation part. We will see that in later lectures in depth. There is a special protection for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Okay, how this is? So special safeguard includes consent of Gram Sabha is mandatory. If the land lies in the Gram Panchayat, then Gram Sabha will give consent. Land acquisition only as a last option. So in SC/ST areas, the land acquisition should be the last option. Additional monetary benefits will be given to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and resettlement preferably in same area. So we will try to resettle them in that same locality. Yes, there will be relocation, but we will try to give land in that same locality because they are used to that area. This protects social vulnerable communities. Okay, so that's how we are protecting our scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Dispute resolution and authorities. So how disputes will be taken care? So there will be a land acquisition collector for the case, a commissioner for rehabilitation and resettlement, and a special authority, a court-like body which will see the cases of land acquisition. So these cases will not go to any regular court for the rapid inquiry, or you can say for early justice. This ensures quick justice. Okay, so these body ensures that the process happens within time. Okay, so why this is important for the valuation professionals? Okay, so you can understand that compensation affects project cost. Okay, if any project is there in the area where land acquisition happened, so compensation plays a very important role in the costing of the project. Then legal compliance is mandatory. So how the land acquisition happen, you should know. Risk assessment depends on this act. Okay, so which kind of land is being acquired, what body is involved, what is the risk there. So you have to know about all this. Used in feasibility studies. Okay, then understanding this law is professionally critical. You should understand this law. Okay, as a valuer, as a civil engineer, or a real estate appraiser, you should know what is this law. Okay, this is the final summary of this act. I know this is very lengthy topic, but I have tried to make it very simple. In subsequent lectures, we will see what are the sections, what section says, what section 1 says, what section 2 says, what section 3 says. So please make some notes by your own so you can remember easily. These PPTs are here for your reference. I have mentioned all the points in the PPT itself, so you can have a look after the lecture. Thank you, and please do comment for lecture 2. And if you have any doubt, or I have made any mistake in the lecture, for the senior valuers or anyone senior who is watching, please mention in the comment. I will try to correct that mistake as well. Thank you. I hope this will be very helpful for your examination. I will give some MCQs in separate video because this video is very long. So thank you.